Today we'll be practicing some watercolor leaves because painting leaves is a great way to build your confidence and paint something pretty. Hi friends, welcome back. My name is Shada and today we are going to have some fun, paint some leaves, just chill, work out a few green things in our sketchbook. It's going to be a lot of fun and very beginner friendly. Now I am using this Canson watercolor sketch pad. It's good thick paper, really cheap. You can get these at Walmart. And then I have two pointed round sable hair brushes. Wait, hold that. I have 3 pointed round sable hair brushes. This is like a number 1, 2, and 3, I think, so quite small. And then I'll be using my 48 pan watercolor set from Munyo. If you're getting started with watercolors, I have just put my watercolor e-course on sale. We're all stuck at home. We need things to do. This is a 3-hour course, over 25 videos in length, and it is on sale. So head to my website to check it out. What we'll do first is mix up some of the greens that we'll use for the leaves. What I want to do together is kind of start in the sketchbook and practice doing some different mixing and some different leaf shapes, and then we will get some nicer watercolor paper, fancy paper, and we will do a larger painting. So first things first, I'm mixing up a very light green, putting lots of gray in there. If you don't have a light gray, you could use white, mixed in a little blue to really cool that green as well. So we've got this minty color. And we'll come over to our sketchbook, and I start with a thin stem, and then you're going to use that round brush and drag the belly of the brush across the page, just allow a leaf shape to emerge, and then you can use the tip of that round brush to add a little point to the leaf or to change or refine the shape of the leaf. You could add a little bit of a darker green there if you like as well, whether the leaves are still wet or whether they are dry. I think adding that little bit of shading can be a really nice touch. Now you can follow along with me, but if you've got a sketch pad and you've got some green mixed up, just try painting different leaf shapes. Let that round brush just hit the page and see what sort of shape forms. You don't have to follow along exactly. It's so great to play with your paint brushes and just kind of see what works for you. The next color that I'm mixing up here is a more natural green. I'm still keeping it very cool, but I've mixed in a little bit of brown, and I think you can see it's quite a cool green, but it is a little more natural. Of course, if I mix in more water, I can lighten it, so I'm just testing out my colors. Nice sketchbook practice piece is starting to form here. And the next leaf that I want to paint is a seeded eucalyptus. This is one that I go back to often. It's just such a pretty plant. And so you can see I'm doing these kind of rounded leaves. They usually take 1 or 2 brush strokes, sort of 1, 2, 1, 2, and then I use the tip of the brush to add these very delicate thin stems. And then I again use the tip of the brush to create these little tiny seeds. And all the seeds are joined by delicate little stems. You can do as many seed areas and as many leaves as you like. And it's just a pretty, really pretty. And then I've got a really bright emerald, almost an emerald green here. And I am, again, just sort of allowing myself to play around, drag that brush across the page, and these leaves are a little bigger. I'm kind of wiggling the brush a bit so they're a bit messier. We'll also try doing some really tiny leaves, and these ones are fun. You kind of go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and you do this quick 2 little brush strokes. We'll get close so you can really see. You just let the belly of the brush hit the page in 2 quick motions, and that's a really pretty and delicate little leaf shape. Play and experiment with your leaf shapes and your brush strokes, and play and experiment with your colors. I'm adding as much gray as I can, and I'm kind of seeing how far can I go before green just turns into gray. So I wanted these very gray greens, but eventually I was like, no, that's just gray again. And yeah, that's what's so great about doing a little sketchbook piece is that there's no pressure. And actually, to be really honest, I wanted this one to look a little cuter than it does. I was like, I'm gonna make a really cute like sketchbook piece with color swatches, and it got very messy very fast. But that's fine, it's just for fun, and you don't even have to put yours in a YouTube video, so there you go. So this is what mine looked like when I was all done kind of playing around. I really like the seeded eucalyptus, I like this little guy in the corner, I like my gray greens, and now I'm ready to grab some good quality paper. I'm going to use my Arches hot pressed paper, which has a nice smooth finish. It comes on a block like this. There's always a protective sheet on top. You peel that off, and then you have this nice stretched paper that is great for painting on, and you don't have to stretch it, which is nice if you're lazy like me. So hot pressed has a smooth finish. I like that, but cold pressed would also be great for this project. Keep your practice piece handy because as you're mixing and changing things, you might want to test your colors again. But basically what we're going to do now is just create a green leafy painting where everything is kind of centered in the page, and there's this big burst of leaves going up and out towards the top of the paper. So the way I'm beginning this painting is to start with a leaf shape that I've practiced. I'm using my very, very light gray-green because I know that if I start with a light colored leaf, I'll be able to go over it later if I want to kind of, add more leaves on top. With that first one done, I'm going to repeat the same leaf shape in just a slightly different light green up on the right-hand side. And then in between the two, I am going to paint my seeded eucalyptus. Now I've darkened the green slightly from my practice piece, but otherwise it's pretty much the same, this sort of cool yet natural green, starting with small leaves up towards the top. And then as I add a stem and kind of go down the length of that stem, I let the leaves become a little larger. Some are very round, some of the leaves are a little more pointed. I want them going off in all directions to make it look very, just very natural and very wild and free as leaves are. And I'm just adding more and more. I want this to be just this big, messy, big burst of leaves. I'm overlapping some of the leaves, and then I'm also allowing some of the lighter leaves to, I'm painting around them so they look like they're sitting in front of the eucalyptus. And then I'm adding that nice emerald leaf that I also tried out in my practice sketchbook piece. So this adds a nice burst of a sort of a different color, and the leaves are a little larger. So now we've got, we started with some really small light leaves, then the eucalyptus is kind of a medium size, and this one's a bit bigger. So we've got a contrast of size and a contrast of color. And down towards the bottom here, we'll add some thin stems where all the leaves can kind of come together. And at this point, I would like to add that very delicate little guy that we practice that kind of uses the 2 brush strokes. So I'm starting with some curving stems, and then I start making my little 2 brush stroke leaves. And we'll go 1, 2, 1, 2, you get the point. So that one's a lot of fun to paint, and because it is so delicate and petite, it looks nice with the other leaves, and it makes your painting look really delicate and detailed. And if you need to turn the painting upside down and pull that paintbrush towards you, I find that's a very natural motion, and it's helpful for me. And as you work all the leaves together, you'll want to sort of make sure that they are kind of tucked tightly together. So work little leaves in where you have a blank space or wherever you need a little bit of extra greenery. And I'm going to repeat this same leaf up on the top right. I have it on the bottom left, so I think repeating it up here will add a nice balance without things being too symmetrical. Next, I'm using my small, this is the number 2 round brush, and I'm just adding those little seeds to my eucalyptus. I'm using a very light green for this. I have added gray to it, and I love the color that emerges. And then I am adding just a few more small leaves to that very first branch that I painted. You just never know where things are going to go, so I didn't want to make it too large to begin with, but now I feel it needs a few more leaves, and I'm tucking leaves in where there might be a bit of a blank spot. As I said, I want it to be quite crowded and tightly packed the way a little bouquet of leaves would be. Then what we're going to do is pick up a nice really dark rich green, and this could be a green with a bit of purple in it or even a bit of black, and I have that green on just the tip of my brush, and I'm adding some veining to those emerald green leaves, just some very delicate thin broken lines. And then I might even add a bit of shading, and I'm kind of just puddling this dark green at the top and bottom tip of some of the leaves. At this point, I'm almost finished. I've painted all my leaves, I've added detail to them, and now I'm bordering the entire piece with some very thin, tiny, delicate leaves. Just a reminder that the watercolor e-course is on sale right now. Head to my website to check that out and get it at the sale price. This is my beautiful bouquet all done. I love painting watercolor leaves. I hope you'll paint along with me, and definitely do the sketchbook practice piece because it is zero pressure. Please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you soon with a new tutorial.